Hello and welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. I'm your host, as ever, the caller. Very excited to be here, although still slightly jet lagged. Sorry, we're a little bit late starting. We were waiting for HG. And that was my excuse. Yes, HG, for falling asleep during the second half yesterday. Joining me all the way from Vienna, the Cheese Room's answer to Stato, it's HG.
Thank you for the compliment, Stato. You're the one who looks like him, not me. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Welcome from Vienna. Second week of lockdown has been done. We'll see what happens now. But lockdown just means a chance to watch lots of football. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure someone else who is okay with that is a rather hungover Dave-O. Dave, talk us about the night that was.
I had work lunch yesterday. Started off with some beers, white wine, red wine, espresso martini, Jack Daniels, a Coke. Ordered a Mexican burrito, fell asleep on the couch, ate the burrito, woke up went to bed. So I'm monotonal, very monotonal, and I'm a bit tired.
David, rather a Mexican burrito than a Japanese one, or Indian one, or whatever,
or a kosher one.
I have to be honest. Like, I've got to be honest, Dave.
Yes,
you're no more monotonal than usual. So hold your head up high, mate. It's fine. And joining us, lastly, from the South Coast, he loves the students. Here's John.
Yes, I love all the students. They're great people, all of them. Good evening from Bog Bados, as we like to affectionately know Bognor Regis. Just watching the game here. Do you want to know the score, HD?
You can tell me the score again, but I don't want to know who's winning. Although I'm sure some dickhead's going to say it in the comments, and I'll see it anyway.
Yeah, HD doesn't want to know the score between Fulham and Bournemouth. So
can I say I hope Fulham are winning.
Well,
I will say that.
Can I just say to our loyal viewers, we don't think you're dickheads. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't think you're dickheads. Absolutely, that's just HG on his own tangent, and you can reach him at
if someone wants to tell me who's winning that game, they will officially be crowned a dickhead. It's that simple.
And if you would like that honour, please do comment. We've got a lot to get through tonight. We've got to look ahead to the weekend. We've got to look back on an epic 2-0 victory last night. Yes, 2-0. That's not often that has happened recently. So a 2-goal margin, finally. Are we clicking? We're going to get through that. And obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about Norwich. Let's talk Brentford first. And let's go to you, HG. Lineup, no surprise. Same as it would have been for Burnley.
Absolutely. And probably the same again on Sunday as well. I'd be surprised if he changes it. That 11 seemed pretty well suited for what Conte will do. Maybe Sanchez isn't fit yet, but you never know. Things might improve. But I think it's clear that Romero would have that spot if Sanchez, if Romero was fit. So it does look like a relatively settled 11. And we might disagree about some of the people that Conte seems to have decided this is where he wants to go.
What's interesting about the run sheet today is Dave-O's next point, which is that Sanchez and Rodon not in the matchday squad. Sanchez played, Dave.
No, it's Sanchez and Rodon's not in the matchday.
Oh, okay. That's not the way you've written it. But anyway, Rodon not in the matchday squad. What's going to happen to him, Dave-O? Is he going to have to go out on loan? I mean, is Paul Muir going to have to adopt him? Take him in? What's going on?
I thought Paul Muir had already adopted him and taken him in. I think that it's just weird to everyone who's watched him. I think that when he's played, he's done all right. I mean, he played the game he played against Palace. He did all right when he played, and I just think that Davinson Sanchez, because he's my new Eric Lamela, he's rubbish. He's an accident waiting to happen. He's Bambi on ice skates. He just can't distribute. He gets bullied in the air. I want him gone. So I would prefer Tanganga or Rodon instead of Sanchez, but Conte's not going to do that.
Well, I suppose. How much do we pay for him, by the way? Is it like 42 million?
42 million pounds.
He looks every penny worth it, doesn't he, John?
There's no answer other than laughing. He's just. Paul Muir said it very well on the pod last week. He just falls over, doesn't he, all the time? What I did enjoy yesterday was just before we got the second goal. It was a couple of minutes before. Brentford were attacking, and he managed to slice the ball over the oncoming attacker somehow. Not deliberately. He just managed to sort of try and kick it and went the opposite direction, but over his head and away. It was quite impressive.
My favourite Sanchez moment was last season when we went out to Man City and we were 1-0 down at half time, and apparently that's when Mourinho said to the players, we're doing all right, even though we're losing. And then I think it was their third goal when the keeper smacked it high up in the air, it came down, and Sanchez fell over underneath it. I think it's Gundogan scored the goal. I saw that. I just laughed. He's got to go.
Was that the bit where he just went flat on his face? Yeah. That was an epic fan. I actually think, to give him credit, I think he was just trying to throw his body in the way of the shot, to be honest. But that's being generous, maybe. I don't know. Either way, I agree with you, Dave. He needs to go. He needs to be sold.
Can I use this time to point out that it was Davinson Sanchez who started the move for the second goal last night?
No, it doesn't suit our narrative.
Doesn't suit the
narrative.
narrative.
Romero won the header first. Anyway,
let's be fair. He did just clear the ball. I don't think there was any real direction to it, but it went to Son, who then laid it off to Kane, who then sprayed it on and then over. So
I thought Skip passed it.
No, it was Sanchez. It was definitely
Sanchez.
But the point was like you can't put it for it. Doing the ball was his job, but it wasn't like it was. Peak Toby, find someone from 30 yards. It was just, let's just clear the ball forward. And, I've said times, Sanchez and Rodon to me are pretty much the same person. But if you want to play foot, Rodon is a better choice. He is more comfortable on the ball. Sanchez doesn't want it. Doesn't look comfortable with it. Never has done. So it's a strange one to have Sanchez over Rodon.
He's nervous, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He's nervous. John, happy with the creativity in the first half, created a few more chances. I think we actually got to see a shot on goal after about, was it 6 minutes, Lucas Moura?
I didn't see the first 20 minutes, so I watched the highlights earlier on. And it was the Moura chance. Kane probably slightly overcooked it, and he had to stretch a little bit. All he could do was punch the ball, really, not physically, obviously. So there was only one place he could really hit the ball, and it was a fairly comfortable save for the keeper. But it was nice that we actually got in the box and got some shots away. So I'm not used to this. It's a very strange thing.
I know, it was madness, wasn't it? There was several shots, and it seemed to be that the game plan was very much put crosses in, wasn't it, HG? There were an awful lot of crosses in that match. You saw Reggie getting wide. Even Son was taking on the fullback, wasn't he?
And we look for it. Isn't it strange to have someone who can man play wide so he can actually then go and beat a man with the ball at his feet? I don't know who's been calling for that for the last 6 feels like. So yeah, I think really early on there was a chance where Davies had the ball, and you could see that Reguilón was like sprinting down the wing, and he was like, well, if the ball's on, you need to play it, and we did. And it was we can have a centre back that actually is comfortable and can put it into the path of the wing backs. We didn't see that on the right-hand side, which is probably why the left-hand side was much better for it. So yeah, I don't know if the game plan was to have crosses, but we certainly were more able to get the wing backs involved higher up the pitch. I mean, didn't have the opportunity as much, but for some reason, I think the fact that maybe Brighton, a similar system meant that it was a 1v1 up against, was the right wing back for Brentford. That probably worked in our favour. If you've got two wide players out there, then it's not so easy for us to the ball forward. But we looked better. Definitely looked better last night than we have done probably since the first day.
Dave, first goal from a set piece since Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister. So refreshing to see, even though it was a bit of an own goal. I thought Davis, to be honest, looked like he was claiming it at first, but clearly, and they gave it to him in the stadium, but clearly not. But refreshing to see, nonetheless.
Yes, I mean, it was the first goal since Churchill was Prime Minister. I threw up my ration book in happiness when the goal went in. So, I mean, I know it's a short thing on the side and it went in. I'm calling that a set piece. I mean, he still had Son. I mean, Son still had some corners that still didn't beat the near post. So it was good. It was good to see we did that. Davis, he was claiming it, but I think the Brentford player headed it against the other Brentford's player in the face and went in. He was probably watching Davison Sanchez in preparation. So it was good to see. I think we had more attacking intent last night.
I think so. I think it looked like we actually wanted to win the game, which is, refreshing to sort of sitting back deep and hold it on for a lucky goal, really. Dave,
can I just say, it obviously helped us. Wait a second. It obviously helped us that the own goal was in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you get that first goal early. It wasn't necessarily because of anything great that we were. It was luck. It was very fortunate that we got that opening goal, but the opening goal gave everyone in the stadium a bit of confidence. I think we're going to hold on to it, or at least go on and win the game. Had we conceded an own goal in the first 10 minutes, you know what the ground would have been like. We've all been there when Spurs do that. So it's like last night felt good because we were in control from, pretty much from the first kick. But that control was really given to us because of a mistake that they made, or even just misfortune on their part.
I agree with you. I think it always helps to get an early goal. We know that, don't we? So, but I thought we controlled the game really well. I don't think Brentford really had a look in pretty much all match. Ben Davis, though, Dave. Before I say that, 52 people watching. There's 12 likes. Come on, people. Smash a like. Just hit that like button. Let's get that number up. That would be really good. Dave-O, Ben Davis, is he this season's wonder kid? Is he the new Victor Moses? What are your thoughts on Mr. Davis? He had a decent game, I thought. Obviously, he scored the goal that wasn't, and had another header that was going for the top corner, and the keeper made a semi-decent save. It looked pretty assured. Has he found his place in the world?
I mean, if you compare it to two other positions he's made appearances this season, so he played left back against United in Nuno's last game, and he's not a left back anymore. I mean, he's 28. I think it's not. He was always a left back that was a more defensive left back and back up to Danny Rose, who's good at bombing forward and all that kind of stuff. He's not a centre half in a back four. This is his most suited position now. And I think that, he'll need to improve his distribution. He's obviously getting fitter. There was a really good interview with him in The Athletic this week, actually, and a very honest and candid interview. I think that in the system that we're playing now, we may have found that, we're always saying that when Vertonghen went, it was more suited to play three at the back with Davis there. So under a good coach with Conte, I think that he's really improved, actually. There's a long way to go with him, but I think his career looks over as a left back, but he's much more suited now. So in a short answer, yes.
Anyone else got an opinion on him? HG, you're never shy of an opinion on most things. Davis, is he a revelation for you? Do you think he'll stay there all season?
Well, I don't want to say revelation because we've seen him do it for Wales for how many years now? 5, 6? With Euro 2016, he was playing as a left-sided centre-back. The revelation is that it's taken Spurs so long to figure this out because most fans have been calling for three at the back since he took over. Right? I mean, we were all thinking that three at the back was the way to go with the players that we had and that Davies would left-sided centre-back in that formation. So Conte's come in and done what a lot of fans would have done back in September. It's obviously good for Davis. It will prolong his career. He may well get another contract out of it. But if he does, I mean, he joined in 2013? Is it 2014? 2014 because it was when Pochettino
feels
took
like
over,
far
right?
too long.
Well, no, it's not a question about whether it's too long. The point is that he's been a really good servant of Spurs and he's getting a chance to play in the position that really works for him and us. That's what you want. He is committed to Spurs. he doesn't seem to care about playing every week at a lesser team, which he could have done over the years. He could have said, if I'm not playing for Spurs, I want to go somewhere else. He seems pretty happy, and he's, if not the longest outside of Kane, he may well be the longest serving player at the club. I think Lloris is probably ahead of him too. But do you know what I mean? Like he's part of the furniture, and maybe that's really useful at times.
Part of the Welsh Mafia too, Dave, of course.
The Tafia.
The Tafia. Lots of praise coming in. Sam says Davis has been great since Conte turned up. Fair to say, John?
Has he been great? I think he's been good. What I will say is last night, look at the opposition. I was quite disappointed with Brentford overall. I thought they didn't really show up. Tony was, I thought Tony would cause us problems last night. And
I was worried about him going into the game.
I was. Especially after the good goal he scored up at Newcastle last week. I think we need to see Davis the next few weeks. If we see him against, a quick inside right striker, I think he might struggle. But he's generally, he reads the game pretty well normally, doesn't he? So we'll see. But I'll be amazed if we don't sign a left-sided centre-back by the summer. If not January, definitely in the summer. So it's just a case of him playing for now.
Yeah, I think it's one of them where he's our only left-footed centre-back option, isn't he, really? So, Joe Rodon can play there, but isn't a left-footer, and he doesn't seem to be liked by anyone that comes to the club.
So, to be fair, Sam commented earlier, Conte did say in his press conference that he very much sees Rodon as the central defender, and that's Dyer's position. So he is Dyer's reserve, effectively. So I'm guessing we've got, obviously, Sanchez or Tanganga as the reserve for Romero. And we don't really have a left-sided reserve now. I guess maybe Tanganga could play there. But that's what Conte said. But then he also bigged up Cess last week, and he's disappeared again, hasn't he? And then he bigged up Bergwijn.
Well, he did manage to get himself sent off. Go on, HG.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is, like, if you look at the Mura game, right? I mean, that's the example. That's where we can see who was going to play left-sided centre-back if Davies wasn't playing, and it ended up being Sanchez. We had Tanganga on the right of the three, Rodon in the middle, and Sanchez was moved over onto the left where, we know he was hopeless. Just doesn't have the mental capability of dealing with the fact that someone who's left-footed might want to cut in on the inside. That's really basic stuff, and Sanchez failed. Whatever audition that was, he failed it as a left-sided centre-back, which is, as you've seen in the league games, it's either him or Tanganga to be on the right. But if Davies was injured, it would be interesting to see what Conte would do. Would he go with Rodon or would he go with Tanganga? Because he can't go with Sanchez down the left anymore.
Paul Muir is getting bright red right now, isn't he?
I just love that. How shit else to be Dyer's back up. Gov, this thing. So we didn't allow Brentford the option to do much. That's the difference. I think that's fair to say. As a big analyst, HG, Brentford didn't really have the opportunity to do much because our tactics were so good, right?
No. I mean, yes, but in German they have the word Jein, right? Yes and no together. Look, obviously, I think we played well, but I think Brentford's biggest issue was how Brentford chose to play, and that the team that they brought out, their midfield three was Norgard, who's a sitting defensive midfielder, and Janelt, who's a sitting defensive midfielder, and Onyeka, who's new to the league and doesn't maybe box to box. I don't think if he scored maybe one for them, but the creativity wasn't there for them either. And when you've got three centre backs as well, then you six. Where is their thrust going to come from? You've got Tony and Bremo basically, feeding off scraps, which is probably why Tony didn't look very good. The left back Rico Henry, I think, is a decent player, but if they can't, they were great at keeping the ball in their own half and passing it between the midfield and the defenders. But when it tried to get any further up the pitch, they couldn't do it. They just weren't able to. And I don't think that was. It would be like crediting our opponents because Skip and Højbjerg aren't great at being creative players. It's just not their job, and it's not Janelt's job, and it's not Norgard's job to be able to do those things. So I think Brentford kind of hamstrung themselves a little bit with the team that they played. I thought they looked much better once what's his name, Matthias Jensen came on. Jensen is that kind of that passing player who can move between the lines and is happy doing it further up the pitch. Before that, they didn't really have anyone, and so Brentford kind of made themselves pretty easy to play against. And considering the run they've had this season and the results they've got by actually taking it to bigger teams, I was surprised that they didn't do it last night, because I don't think they had many injuries. It was more, were they scared to play Spurs, a team that had scored, 12 goals, 11 goals in 12 games, whatever it was before last night. It just seemed a weird choice on Brentford's part, although, of course, I'm happy that they did that.
67 people watching live now and only 28 likes. Come on, smash that like button for us. That would be good. 100 likes and Dave will do the cha-cha slide.
The what?
John, question for you. Second half, do you think we opened them up much more in the second half?
I think both teams came out with a lot more intent. You could tell that. And I've just seen Govs made a comment about closing down, and we were closing down in packs. And again, it's the first time in a long time we've seen that all over the pitch. We were doing it, and it wasn't just one player going; it was 2 or 3 hunting them down, and that did make a big difference in first half and second. But yeah, because they came out more, I think it sort of G'd us up and it opened the game up, didn't it? We had more chances to counter as well, which helped, which is where the goal came from ultimately.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think can I just get to this comment, because I think Gov's probably having a go at me here right now. But turned up and got lucky? No, we were the better side. We deserved to win. I don't think we were lucky. I think the first goal was pretty lucky, and I think Brentford played poorly because of the lineup they had. But it was still a deserved win for Spurs. I just don't think that last night's performance is much of an indicator of how we're going to go forward. Because Norwich may well play the same as Brentford did, and we may well steamroller them too, but it doesn't really mean anything. Spurs were better than we have been all season, but let's not take into effect that Brentford were poor, and I think a lot of that was more to do with them than it was to do with us. Just my personal opinion.
Well, I'd like your opinion on this, actually, while we're at it, HG. Do you think Skip's the player of the season so far? I mean, I'm on record as saying 3 years ago he'll be a much better midfielder than Harry Winks. I didn't realise how much better he was going to be than Harry Winks at the time. He's outshining Højbjerg for me as well. What's your thoughts on Oliver Skip this season so far?
Just imagine if we'd have brought him back on loan, recalled him from his loan in January, like I was saying this time last year. Hey, you say this, but if you're saying he's better than Højbjerg, then he's our best midfielder right now, right? Based on what? It's not going to be based on the last 3 months he had at Norwich. This is based on Skip getting an opportunity and playing in a team. So he's done really well. Player of the season, we've been rank all season. We haven't scored many goals. We've fluked a few wins. Last night was not one of them, but we have fluked a few wins. I don't want to talk about player of the season. The best decision we've made all season was sacking Nuno and getting Antonio Conte. That's it. Outside of that, Dyer, possibly. I think Dyer may have played the best, but I don't think anyone's played particularly well this season. So player of the season just seems like a, tallest dwarf competition.
All right. I'm going to come to you, Dave, because you're always really upbeat. Yeah, I know I've muted you. It's because I can hear a canary in the background or something. It's like a parrot. Yeah, it's like the Australian wildlife. There's a galore outside the window, mate. What's your thoughts on Oliver Skip?
Well, obviously you spotted him when he was helping out a dinner lady at his school at that lunchtime, and you thought he was brilliant, and you knew of him before anyone else did. So well done to you. The fact of the matter is that I'm putting the run sheet. Ask HG if Skip's the best player of the season so far, and I wrote underneath. I bet HG says that's not difficult. And what he just said, HG, is kind of what it was. He did a lovely through ball yesterday. I think that he's having a better season than Højbjerg. Have we tied him down to a new contract? I hope we get a new contract for him and improved terms. He's someone who's come through the ranks, which Levy, as we know, likes to see in as the model because it's cheap. I mean, it's good for the club. Sorry. He's looking good, and Conte's recognised him. He's made some glowing comments about Skip, and the only thing for him is would he get in the England team because he's got Rice and Phillips in front of him. But he's looking good.
I don't care. We always get players injured internationally, don't we? So, as far as I'm concerned, he can stay away from the flipping international team. As far as I'm concerned,
patriot, you patriot.
Well, I'm half Welsh, so I'll just cling to that. Dyer has been our best player this season. I mean, I'm
Really?
not asking HG this. John, what's your view on this, mate?
Well, as you know, HG says it's a bit of a low bar, isn't it? Really, overall. But yeah, Skip's been good. He has been good. He's, a lot of us wanted him to come back. So, sorry?
Better than Dyer, which was the question around the
I think he has been better than Dyer. Yeah. I think Dyer's been improved, but there has, and certainly since Conte's been, he's been improved. But I think room for improvement overall for Dyer. But I'd say Skip has been slightly better.
In other news, Dave shot the canary.
Do you want me to shut my window so that the Australian wildlife is muted out?
You broke up a bit there.
I don't care, Dave.
Do you want me to shut my window? I'll go and shut my window. It's all right.
I don't care, really, to be honest.
Well, then I won't shut the window. Carry on.
I'll just mute you if your canary's chirping too loud.
But if my canary's singing in its coal mine, let me know and I'll shut the window, all right?
I will. Dave, sticking with you. Good work by Reguilon. Do we need to see our fullbacks attack a little bit more regularly? I think we saw a little bit of Royale getting forward as well, but certainly not as much as Reguilon. Most of the attacking came down the left. But thoughts on the fullbacks so far?
If we're playing this, if we're playing this system where the emphasis on our attacks is coming from our wing backs or whatever you want to call them, as HG was saying, I want to see more of beating their opposing number, getting to the touchline and sticking across it. I mean, I thought Emerson's crossing in the first half was shocking. And, I don't want to do this Mourinho where we all go down one side of the pitch like we had with Aurea and on the left-hand side, nothing. We've got to have it balanced for both. So the key here is getting the ball out wide, getting it to the wing backs and then beating the man. So, and Emerson's got to do a lot better going forward. Last night, his crossing was shocking. And I think I really like Reggie. I hope that Madrid don't activate this clause that they can do because, he really seems to be into it. Even like, when they were having cricket in the gym last year, he was joining in. He wouldn't have a clue what cricket is. But he sees, and his social media profile, he's like really gets involved and is committed. So I like Reggie. I think he's good.
I don't think he'll go anywhere, to be honest. I think he's made a home at Spurs, and I can't imagine him going back to Real Madrid to be second choice. And I can't really imagine Real Madrid putting the money up to sign him either. I think it's what is it? Something like 40 million they've got to pay from HG. You'll know the detail of the contract, surely.
I think it's 45 million euros. So we bought him for 30, and they have to pay half as much again to get him back. So
yeah.
So it's a good deal by Hitchin. He did a good job there, yeah.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Can I ask a question? Dave, did you say Reggie does good social media?
Apparently, yeah. Why?
apparently, you're asking the guy who's now on Twitter. I can't believe you didn't even say that, John.
The man that's not on social media is talking about Reggie's social media.
Hang on, I'm on Instagram. I've got 10 million followers on Instagram, right?
So 10.
And 10. And that's my auntie.
One of them's me.
And then I'm a Twitter voyeur. I go on Twitter and see what people are saying, and then I disappear off. But I'm not on Twitter, no. But I like Reggie's social media profile. It's so important to have a good social media profile, don't you reckon?
It really is. I mean, I'm still waiting for @Davo Cheese Room to be claimed, but no one's stepping forward. Dave, let us know in the comments if you think that Dave should be on Twitter. I do. I think it'd be great to get him on there because he's so witty. You should see the fun he has with the run sheet. All right, here's what I want to ask you. I've seen it come up in the comments a long time ago now, but fourth place, is it on? Yes or no? I'm going to lead this and say, yes, it's on. I've always thought with a decent manager in charge, we've got a chance. What I didn't expect, if I'm being really honest, from Conte only being appointed a few weeks ago, was that if we win a game in hand, we'll be in fourth place. So it's really the battle of who's the least worst to be fourth, as far as I'm concerned. And I think if we get together, I'm quite confident Conte can take us to that fourth place, especially if we have a busy January. Which we will, by the way, on the Cheese Room have extensive coverage of, and some star names coming on to talk about transfers during the window. HG, let's talk first. Fourth place, is it on?
It's another tallest dwarf competition, isn't it? See who gets fourth. I mean, like, weirdly enough, I feel like the race for fourth is going to be more interesting than the race for the title, and the race for the title is going to be interesting enough with the three of them going for it. Yeah, like it's definitely possible. I mean, you said yourself, if we win our game in hand, it's ours. So right now, it's in our hands, right? Like we win all of our games, we will finish at least fourth. That's the way it looks. So it is a weird season because no one looks great. I thought Arsenal played pretty well, but they lost to Man United, so it doesn't matter how well they played. It's one of those things. I think it's all going to be results. Conte's come in, got 7 points out of 9. That's a massive improvement to where we were. Okay, maybe easy opponents, but still, like you've got to get the results, and we've done it. And so, yeah, like it can definitely happen. The tough part, if there is a tough part, because it's weird to say no when you've still got 20 odd games of the season left. But obviously, we do have a lot of tough away games. You know, we've had Chelsea at home, we've had Man City at home. So we have we'll be, I would say unlucky, but there are maybe some tougher away games than we could have had, but. Yeah, you just got to go and see what you can do because everyone else looks just as poor as we have. For us to even be in a sniffer fourth, considering how badly we've played, means that everyone else is just not getting consistent results. And yeah, as I said, 7 out of 9, that's pretty consistent.
We're only 8 points off the top of the league, HJ.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't believe that strongly, Caller. That might be your thing to believe that ridiculous
No,
stuff,
I don't believe we can win the league. But all I'm saying is the gap's not enormous. Currently.
What is it like? 8 points and 30 goals? Something stupid like that.
John, to you, so HG, let's have a bit of confidence and a bit of a line in the sand. Are we going to finish fourth?
Are we? No. Could we? Okay. Yes.
Okay. John, your view?
Could we? Yes. It's wide open, isn't it? With us, West Ham, United, Arsenal, even Wolves around there. I think Wolves' problem will be lack of goals. Can we? It really depends on what we do in January with signings and how many more injuries we get. Obviously, Romero's out for quite a long time, isn't he? We've got this good little run. Hopefully, we can keep it going. Be interesting to see what happens when we play Liverpool in a couple of weeks. If we can actually give them a game and even get something out of that game, will be key. But yeah, if we go on a good run, there's no reason why we can't even close the gap with the top three. But we'll see what happens with the German gentleman at Manchester United now, because no doubt they will get a kick up the backside.
I think that's definitely a big point, that, because for me, it's between us and them for fourth. I can't even contemplate the Goons getting it. So they're flat track bullies, which we'll come on to, I'm sure.
No, that's fair comment, I think.
But
I think West Ham will struggle with the Europa League in the second half.
And consistency. West Ham's squad's not very deep. I mean, ours is deep, but it's not very good. I do think it's between us and United for fourth spot. I genuinely do. Dave, the most pessimistic man I know. By the way, talking of pessimism and optimism, we've only got 36 likes today. There's 109 people watching. That's terrible. But I'm optimistic it can improve. So come on, hit the like button. Come on. I'll nail this whiskey if you do. Dave, please do tell us your optimistic view of where we're going to finish this season.
Well, look, amongst the four of us here tonight or this morning, and if you had a scale, if you had an optimism, pessimism scale graph, where would you plot us, right? Because I think me and HG would be plotted very near each other on the graph, but you make me out as the pessimistic one, whereas you make the man in Vienna to be the shining light of optimism. Well, I find that a tadding.
It fits my narrative, Dave, and I don't. I don't at all. But
John,
you're being a bit of a victim. Is that the problem? Are you being a victim?
No, John. I've always found John to be a very optimistic person since I've got to know him on this and the WhatsApp group. Him in his running around everywhere, and his long distance running
Not
and his
right,
optimism. And Caller, you're just out on your own. So I think. My consistent line about this is that we can get 4 if we have to sign another striker in January, and we need to sign a midfield player who does something different to Højbjerg and Skip and Winks. And then I was going to say we can make do with the defence we've got, but with Romero out, I don't know. If Levy does his usual, buys players at midnight, January the 30th and 31st, and wastes a month of getting points on the board, then he's an idiot. So Conte, Paratici, they work their magic and get a striker in and get a midfield player who does something different, then we've got a chance. But the quality is poor. The quality is poor. Okay, we've not been great this season, but United have been shocking. The Gooners are flat track bullies. West Ham are having their best season. But let's not forget West Ham, the last time they won a trophy, John Lennon was alive.
Well, given this new ray of optimism from you, I want to know your prediction.
If we get a striker and a midfield player, we'll get 4th.
Oh, Dave, that sounds optimistic. You're desperately trying to lose this pessimism.
Not really. I'm a grumpy bastard. I don't care.
Can I caveat that with a decent striker? Not Vincent Janssen.
Not Vincent Janssen, and not who was it? Carlos Vinicius.
I mean, maybe Llorente.
Llorente was all right.
But he couldn't run, could he? He was so slow.
He was about 36, to be fair.
Yeah, but we bought Llorente, and the best to get out of Llorente is to get people down the byline and get some crosses on his head. I mean, one of the few goals that he ever got was when Danny Rose landed it on his forehead, right? Yeah. We don't play that way. But if you look at the second strikers that we've got as backup, so you've got Janssen, Vinicius, and Llorente. So out of that 3, you'd say that Llorente was the best. But to quote HG, that wouldn't be that difficult, would it?
One for you, Dave. The accountant is watching you and says, didn't we do our business early over the summer? So isn't it a fallacy that we sign players late?
It's not a fallacy because it's not a fallacy. He's had his booster injection.
It's really not a fallacy.
It's not a fallacy. So, but thanks for putting in the message. You've had your booster injection, not feeling well. So I hope you're wrapping up warm, watching rhubarb and custard on the television.
He cried off tonight, didn't the accountant? We had him on. And he was supposed to be here tonight, but he's had his booster jab. He's feeling a little bit delicate, which is okay.
He's a bit. I send a metaphorical cuddle and hug from Australia to him as he's on the couch like Bagpuss. So if you look at 20 years of Enoch, we do our business late. Okay. Get well soon.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we did it early over the summer, but then the Olympics happened, so it didn't help us anyway. Or like we had the Copa America, so it's like, oh great, we bought you in whenever we bought you, but you can't play for another 4 weeks. It didn't.
Kerry's got sympathy for you, Steve, even if I haven't. To be fair,
we've got sympathy for anyone who's got a boost is not feeling well. We've got sympathy. Get a boost. There
you go, Dave. There you go. Sending you a kiss. That's lovely.
There you go.
Ishak's been very persistent in the chat, wants me to read this out. By the way, super chats are live, so do check us in a super chat if there's something you're desperate to get the answer to. Have you heard that Yaya Toure is doing his coaching badges at Spurs and wants to stay if the opportunity is right? I didn't hear the latter. I did hear the former. HG. Yaya Toure. Why is he doing them at Spurs? I'm a little bit mystified, to be honest. Has Man City not got a youth academy, or something?
Yeah, but he lives in North London, Caller. That's why. I mean, that's basically why.
And he fell out with Guardiola as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
We may well be the closest Premier League team for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he doesn't want to go to Arsenal or Watford's training ground, which are next door to each other, and why not come to the quote unquote best training ground in the world, use the best facilities there are. And look, it's good for the club because he was a great player. Doesn't really mean a great deal to me, but look, if he wants to do that, he wants to continue, then why not? Like if you're gonna have someone coaching your kids, why not have a player that's seen and done pretty much everything there is to see and do? So played at Barcelona, played all over Europe, it would be a nice thing for the club, but I don't think it's major news, not to me anyway.
No.
Can you do one thing though? Can you please take the first team and give them some free kick shooting practice? Teach them how to shoot, because we haven't scored since Ericsson.
A long time.
Since Ericsson.
Well,
I'm not being funny. Well, you've got Harry Kane taking your free kicks. That's a
Yeah, but who else is going to take it? Sonny? But he's had a couple. Dyer hit the post at least. We got a goal last week. But...
Could be.
On the tour, I think. Can you bring out a Daniel Harrison comment? Because I was going to say that, but he beat me to it.
Yeah.
You see it? Yeah. If we get him a birthday cake on his birthday, he's definitely going to stay. He gets very upset about not getting a birthday cake.
That was the fallout,
wasn't it? Upset, yeah.
That wasn't the fallout. There was the first fallout, but him and Guardiola, there was discussion. He made some comments about how he felt about racism and things like that, and Guardiola hasn't spoken to him since he left. So that's why he's not back there.
The answer is yes.
Yes, you should, and we'll send you a birthday cake.
Dave will, all the way from Australia.
A Lamington. Dave will send a Lamington all the way from Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there you go. In other news, there's a few bits going on. So Everton, is it adios to the Spanish waiter, HG? Do you think he's a goner?
No, but only because I don't think they'd find anyone better. Like, it's not as if there's managers out there thinking, oh yeah, I really want to take the Everton job on. That's going to be good for my career. Yeah. I think Benitez is probably quite happy, and I think despite their results, the club are still quite happy with Benitez. That they've talked about the injury issues that they've had. I don't know how much of that is actually true, but to be spanked at home to Liverpool, okay, yeah, it means a lot to Everton fans, but the rest of us could probably all see it coming. It's a rough one, but I think he's got a couple more months yet, to be honest. Before, if it continues at this pace, then they'll start asking questions. But I don't think it's going to happen now. And I feel a little bit sorry for Everton because they got themselves Carlo Ancelotti. It was a massive coup for them, and you thought, okay, maybe he can help them, and he just ditched them at the first opportunity. So for them to get Benitez was at the time probably quite a coup. But it's just the history in Liverpool obviously makes it more difficult. But you do think that, given their issues, obviously their main creative midfielder has not been seen all season for things we can't talk about. They've lost another couple of players in midfield, and it does make it tough for them because if it wasn't for Townsend and Damari Gray, who
Benitez both free transfer and a cheap transfer, the irony. They spanked all that money on like dross, haven't they? Everton. I mean, this isn't an Everton show, but just touching on it, they must have spent an absolute. If ever there was an argument for not spending money, Everton are it.
Yeah, and Benitez signed both of them, so like, I don't know. I don't think he's going to go anytime soon.
Okay. Man United carrots. So Rangnick, we touched on it previously in the. Should we be worried about Man United now Rangnick's in charge? From the man who knows him best, HG.
Should we be worried that he's in charge? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, Rangnick may well, it's one of those things. People say, idiots will say, Rangnick, who has he managed? He hasn't managed a big club. But the point is that all the German coaches, people like Tuchel, people like Klopp, they all look to Rangnick and what he has decided is the way to play football, and they've gone and done it that way. They might have slightly different variations. Tuchel is more about control and Klopp and his famous heavy metal style, but it is all about winning the ball back quickly and trying to do something with it. Rangnick is a really good appointment for Man United, and I don't think any of us have looked at Man United squad and thought, oh, they're lacking in places, they're lacking in a team and a function, but they've got quality players. So I think that move for Man United has made them favourites for fourth. I really do, because I just think they'll get enough victories with the quality of attackers that they've got to go on and get it. But what happens longer term with Man United, we don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed as the manager for more than the 6 months he's currently supposed to.
I think we all. Yeah, go on. Do the follow-on question. Go on. Sorry.
What has Rangnick won? Probably not too much. if I'm honest. Maybe a German second division title, but Jimmy Traore won the Champions League. Doesn't make him a great player. It's all a coach is based on what they do with what they have. Rangnick was Schalke manager and was in the Champions League regularly with them. Look at Schalke now, right? When he took over at Leipzig, I think Hasenhüttl had taken Leipzig to second, right? That's a massive thing for Leipzig because they're a club that's only been around 10, 12 years. And then Hasenhüttl left because he didn't want to be the placeholder for when Nagelsmann was coming, and so Rangnick was there as well. Rangnick is all about style of football, and you can't look at the teams that he's created at Leipzig and at Salzburg. You can't look at them and say they haven't been successful. If success is winning stuff, well, in Germany that's really difficult to do because Dortmund and Bayern are much bigger than anyone else, and Leipzig are trying to close that gap. But it just seems. To me, at least, what has he won? It's like saying Pochettino's a bad manager because he didn't win anything at Spurs. And I don't think any of us think that's true. He just didn't win anything, but it doesn't make him a bad manager.
Okay. And this one, is it a risk for them that he's not managed the club for quite a while? Why have none of the so-called bigger teams ever? I think that's slightly a fallacy because I think Chelsea were interested in him on an interim basis before they eventually appointed their current incumbent.
What about Klopp? I mean, Klopp was at Dortmund. I mean, would you call Dortmund a bigger club? And then he went to Liverpool.
Dortmund a bigger club than what?
No, what I'm saying is the question is why have none of the so-called bigger clubs ever come calling for him? And would you not say that Klopp, the biggest club that came calling for Klopp in his career was Liverpool? So that's his first bigger club that came calling for him. Do you know? Am I making any sense whatsoever?
No, you are. I mean, I will say that. I mean, as far as Germany is concerned, there are two massive clubs, and that's Bayern and Dortmund. And Dortmund aren't really in the same stratosphere. But to get one of those two, like for many years, Dortmund were a sleeping giant, like genuinely sleeping, like finishing 10th or 11th in the German table. And Klopp was the one who got them to basically where they are now, a regular Champions League side, and he moved them up. I think the thing with Rangnick, and I will say this, is that he does pick his opportunities well, and in many cases he doesn't want to be in the spotlight. He's quite happy being the organizer rather than the face of the operation. And at Man United, he's going to have to be the face now. And I think that, yeah, I mean, we talked about Rangnick coming to Spurs over the summer and the amount of control that he wanted, and lots of clubs don't want to give him that control. Man United, given the situation that they're in, probably thought, okay, we're willing to do that. We're willing to give you the money that he's asking for, which I'm sure is an absolute fortune to come in and do this. Rangnick is the type of person that if he's going to put his head above the parapet, it's only going to be for a lot of money, and it doesn't happen often. I mean, that's a positive and a negative against Rangnick, but I think that's who he is.
Interesting. Very interesting. And this, why were Spurs not interested?
Well, I was in favour of us getting Rangnick over the summer, right? And HG made a very comment about Paratici. So we got Paratici in, but Paratici's done his dealings and made his work with Juventus, the biggest name in Italian football, backing him, with which we are certainly not the same. And obviously the jury's out on Paratici. I mean, he's obviously greatly got Conte in. And we'll judge signings in due course. But I thought Rangnick would have been ideal for us as director of football because he'd have used his extensive scouting networks to get us in cheaper players, which is our business model, and then have Potter as the coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you look at Bielsa, like Pochettino and Guardiola look at Bielsa as like their guru and things like that, and then you've got Rangnick with Tuchel and Klopp regarding him as the guru. So, for Man United, we all really wanted Ollie to remain at the wheel because he's so out of his depth. But they're going to. Ragnick's going to organise them now, and that's what they needed. They've made some good signings, so that there's every chance they'll come good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see what happens. Indeed, watch this space as far as Manchester United are concerned. Just a quick heads up, Patreon. Who is top of the fantasy football in Patreon right now, Dave?
Is it me?
Is it you? Do you want to just talk a little bit about Patreon and what it offers you?
Patreon offers you the opportunity to communicate on a 24/7, 365 day of the year with all of us and get to tap into our intellects and our high culture and talking absolute nonsense. So you get the chat where we talk all things Tottenham and then other things as well, but non-political, to be clear. We've got the Prediction League, and we have got the Fantasy Football League, and at some point shortly there will be some merchandise coming as well. It's the cost of a packet of crisps each week, and you get to hang out. Well, that's why I'm not on Twitter, because I'm on Slack all the time. What do I need Twitter for when I got Patreon?
Very true. And
It's
well
good plug,
sold,
wasn't it?
as
It
well.
was all right. Yeah, I thought so.
It's not a bad plug. If you want to join, it's £3 a month. Details are in the ticker going across the bottom of the screen right now. Very much worth considering if you like Spurs and you like football. And you can interact with us all on there. Let's look forward to the Norwich game. HG, would you play the same Spurs team, the starting 11, for Norwich at home on Sunday?
And then he disappears. So, cooler! Hey! No, I wouldn't. I would change.
I can
things
hear
up a little
you.
bit.
And I can see you.
But you couldn't. Oh, you could see me. Well, good. See it again. I think that I would change it up because there were parts of our team that I didn't think were great against Norwich. I'm sorry, against Brentford, and so against Norwich, then why not give other players a chance? Sanchez would be one of those. Tanganga or Rodon. I don't think they do any worse than Sanchez did, if I'm honest. So one of those two could easily come in. I think that Lucas wasn't great. I saw someone put in that he had a completion percentage of 53%. I don't know how true that is, but I saw that comment. And so, yeah, maybe you want to go with Bergwijn or you go with Dombele or someone who's just different to Lucas, because I don't think Lucas has really shown much under Conte. It's a rough one, but they're the two possible changes. I don't think Winks is going to come in. I don't think Sessegnon will get a start. I don't think Doherty would come in. So like the changes that are possible because we want to rotate, I don't think. I mean, it's one of those weird things. Like Norwich is the type of game where you'd want to do that because it's a home game against a team in the bottom three, but Conte's still about building confidence. So I don't think there's going to be too many changes. But if it was me, I'd be very tempted to make those two because I don't think we'd lose anything from trying it. I don't know about you guys, Dave.
If we had a bit more depth in the decent depth in the squad, it's a game. All being well, I'd rest Kane and play the backup striker. Okay, that's what I would do. I think Mora is just. It's not going to change with him. He'll run about. He'll try hard. His passing is not very good. He runs into alleyways. I think I'd like to see him go in the summer. And he he might swap out Mora for Bergwijn. If I would rest, he won't. But one of Kane or Son, they need a rest, and do it that way. And obviously Sanchez nowhere near the team, but I think he'll play the same team.
John, what about you?
John,
I think he probably will play the same team. I agree with HG. If you're going to make changes, you make one or two maximum. But I think it's probably a bit early in Conte's time, especially with the Mura result last week. He probably needs to keep at least 10 of those players on the pitch. Vincent just made a comment. I don't know if you can put it up, HG.
Yeah, about Bergwijn.
Yeah, Bergwijn. Yeah, Conte has said that he now sees, certainly until we sign someone, he sees Bergwijn as Harry's backup now. So I can't see him playing him against Rennes because we need goals, don't we? We've got to keep the goal difference up, unless he doesn't care about the Conference League and is going to throw it a little bit. But at some point, they're going to need a breast, aren't they? I mean, a good chance for Harry to score some goals, wouldn't it? At Rennes, you'd hope. He needs to get some goals to get going.
I wonder what the last time was where Harry Kane was rested for a Premier League, like in a Premier League game, he was rested for something else. Has that ever happened?
He's normally rested in cup finals he plays in, isn't he?
But I mean, it's one of those things. Like we've said plenty of times over the last few years that at some point we have to say to Harry Kane, it's best for you and for the club that you don't start every game. Like every Premier League game and every important cup game is too much that we have to then try and rely on what else we have. The problem now is that we don't have a backup striker. Dave said this all season, and he's right. Dane Scarlett was never an option for me in that role. And so, and it's no surprise that Scarlett has kind of disappeared. Injured or not, I don't think he's going to be in that first team squad for the rest of the season now. So I think that like it's one of those weird things that it's a gamble to do it because we want the points, we want to stay up there. But it might be better for Spurs in the long run if we do say, you know what, we'll have Son and Bergwijn as like a front two, a pacey front two against Norwich, and then we'll put in a passer like Dombele behind them, and we'll see what we can do from there. It's just because we've got so many games in December. Like everyone's right. If you're looking at the games we have to play, the Norwich one actually makes sense as being the one where you might rotate a few more. But yeah, because we want to beat West Ham in the cup and we want to beat Rennes in the Conference League next week, as I do at least. I think it would be good for Spurs to continue in all competitions.
Just on that, I just want to go off on a slight tangent. This comment from Phil: Norwich is far more important than the Rennes game. John, what's your feeling about the Conference League? Should we throw it now? It's difficult to qualify.
I agree with Phil's comment. I do agree with that. Should we throw it? I think we try and win it, but I don't think we can play the same 11 4 or 5 games in a row. America Kanka's comment you just put up a minute ago about we have to keep the same 11. The trouble is, as Aishi says, we've got a lot of games, and we know what happened. Kane will get injured at some point, or some will get injured if they keep playing game after game after game, and we'll end up with no one. And we'll have to wait for January, and either we don't sign someone, or we'll end up having to pay way over the odds because teams know we're desperate. That's the simple answer why we do need to make some changes at some point. But yeah, I think we need to win Norwich, try and get a few goals. What would be great is if we can get 3 or 4 goals and then take a couple of them off. That would be the ideal world. It's never that easy with Tottenham, though, is it?
Never that easy. Dave, you're old enough to remember the glory days with Spurs, which is something that I think not many Spurs fans now can remember. Is the Rennes game important? Would you be going all out to win the Conference League, or is it a case of, to you, the league's more important, top 4's more important?
Top 4's more important, and I'm really sorry. I'm just not bothered about the Conference League. The name conference, it's the 7th best team in each European league. If it had been like a cup winners,
no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not the 7th best team in each European league.
What is it?
It's the 7th best team in the English league, and it's the 7th best team in the Italian league, and I think probably the other, whatever the Spanish league. But for other countries, it's not. Like
so how far up? 5th, 5th?
Well, it depends. It depends on each country. That's the whole point of it. It depends on the country. You've got champions of certain leagues in it, so it's not just the 7th best team. That's a very English, isolated, and kind of insulting point of view. Dave, well done.
And he's Australian.
Hang on a minute. I'm English and Australian. Look, the 3rd European competition, which was disbanded, was the Cup Winners' Cup, right? Mm-hmm. So we had the cup holders of each European league in the thing. Right. I think is a more interesting proposition than the 7th, 6th, 5th, or 1st position of the Gibraltar League playing in the competition, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not excited about it. To be honest, I've never been wasn't that massively excited about the Europa League until they got the Champions League qualification when you could win it, right? So I think that we have a slender chance of getting top 4. So if we go out next week, I'm really not that bothered. Sorry. And if that makes me a little Englander, fair enough.
I didn't say you were. I just the viewpoint was quite.
I love it. Absolutely love
it. You see, the thing about HG, about you, and I love you very much, HG, is that I think you have this metaphorical filing cabinet of responses that you just, to each thing that comes up, you get it out and you bring out the things in the filing cabinet, and then there you go. And
hey, stereotypical answers deserve stereotypical responses. What do you do?
I'm just not interested in it. I'm just not interested in the competition. I'm very sorry.
That's fine.
Let us know in the chat if you are interested in the competition. It'd be interesting to get a flavour. Drop in a super chat. Tell us what you think of the Conference League. Would you like to win it, or would you rather we get top 4 qualification and concentrate on that? Let's talk.
There is one thing. Can I? Sorry, I know you want to talk, but
yeah.
If Davo's worried about Champions League qualification, well, the Champions League rules change in a couple of years, right? And they're going to have these 2 lucky losers
next season, isn't it?
I don't know if it's next season. I think it might be the one after. But there's going to be these 2 lucky losers that didn't qualify for Europe, but somehow make the Champions League. I'm not even sure, but like Spurs could easily be one of those clubs. And it's going to be based on your UEFA coefficient, which you need to be in Europe to gain those points. So, Dave, it might well be in our interest to continue in that competition, if only for that. And that would suit you because Champions League is all you care about.
He loves a narrative. That lad.
My narrative or his narrative?
Dave, I just want a narrative based in facts, mate. That's it.
Okay. Well, I'm still not bothered about it.
That's fine. But then give me reasons with factual ones rather than the 7th, which is not true.
Hang on a second. What about emotion? What about instinct? My emotions and my instinct. I'm just
emotions. No, mate. Use your brain. I know you've got one somewhere.
Sushi's clearly off his rocker. West Ham will stay 4th after beating Chelsea. Interesting.
If they do, he's right. Absolutely.
He is right, but I don't think it's going to happen. Right. Davo, Norwich,
Hello.
3 points from safety.
Yeah.
What's the story then? What's your view on Norwich?
They look dead and buried, really. Farquhar, whatever his name is. Farquhar? It's just
Farquhar?
Farquhar.
Lord Farquhar. You're watching too much Shrek.
Lord, whatever his name is, he won his last game. Dean Smith came in, and I think they've won 2 and drawn 1. So they've had a resurgence. So, they should pose a threat. I won't see, but when they were up 2 seasons ago, is it my imagination? It felt like we played them loads of times. Was there 2 cup games? And then we lost them. I was at the one. Okay, and it was only a penalty shootout in the first game, yeah? And that's when Eric and Jeremy Dyer got together for post-match entertainment. So there was that, and we lost. We drew up there because Foyth came out, lost the ball, and was never seen again. And I can't remember the home game, so I felt like we played them a lot. They've got Dean Smith. I think it's a sensible appointment actually because they've done it on the basis of if we go down, he'll get us back up again. So I think it's a sensible appointment there. Obviously they've got Delia Smith and we've got Daniel Levy. So who would make a better cheese pie? Is that based on fact? I'd say it's Delia Smith. HG, what do you think?
Well, considering one of them is an actual chef, I would go with Delia Smith too. Odd that.
Yeah, and Steve is going to be on tonight about cooking the books. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, let's move on indeed. Norwich is danger men, John. Who should we be worried about? Pookie, and Pookie?
Well, Pookie's got 5 in 14. He's a bit hit and miss, isn't he? But he's scored a couple in the last couple of games. I believe Campbell is back in training. He was injured, came back. Then apparently was a possible close contact for COVID, so couldn't play. And now he's back in training. So he's obviously one we've talked about possibly been linked with in the past. I don't know many of the other players. Obviously, Buendia's gone to Villa. He was their creative force last season. But yeah, Paul Muir's made a good point. Billy Gilmore will be up for this game. He's a Chelsea boy, isn't he? He will be up to kick everyone he can. He'll probably be out to make the point that Skip isn't the best midfielder because he was brilliant for Norwich last season. But we should win this game. We should win the game, shouldn't we?
Yeah. No doubt in my mind, though, we should absolutely be winning this game. HG, is Delia going to spoil the broth that Conte is cooking up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
No, simply we should win. If the Newcastle fan is saying that Norwich are rubbish, and he's watched a fair chunk of rubbish over the years, probably. I think we should go out. Like, if I'm going to rest Kane for one of those 2 games, I'd rest him for the Norwich one. I really would, because I think that if their centre backs have no pace, fine. Let's have Bergwijn, let's have Son, let's have Brian or whoever, Lucas or whoever running at them. It'd be interesting. But no, we definitely should beat Norwich, which means we won't, but we should.
I think Alan's made a point about Grant Hanley as well being as much mobility as my wheelie bin. I think Son playing up front could destroy him, but Conte's already said he doesn't see Son playing that striker role, doesn't he? He sees him more as a 10. That's why he said about Bergwijn playing up front.
Yeah. I mean, it's the first time in a while we've had a manager who I think knows a lot more about football than me. So I'm just going to listen to him and go with it.
Well,
how much
Jose,
more
you know more about football than Jose Mourinho. Right, okay.
I'd put it up there. I'd put it out there.
I think we all do, Dave, after the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. Like old Jose, no. Modern Jose, yeah. To be honest.
Well, Kane and Son have done better last season under Jose than they're doing this season. Just saying. Facts.
It's not the only measure of success, is it, though?
Right.
Speaking of measures of success, we've now got 60 likes watching. There's 150 people watching the show. Statistically, that means a lot of you need to hit the like button immediately. Please.
If we get to 100 likes, do we get to say the score to HG?
Yeah, we absolutely do. Get to 100 likes and we'll ruin HG's evening. That in itself is worth doing. Do you think Norwich are going to stay up, HG?
It's tough because you need a striker, and I'm not sure that Pukki really counts anymore. Pukki is like the Robert Earnshaw of this decade, really good in the Championship, but nowhere else. So no, I don't see them staying up.
Well, there you go. Right, let's have a little bit of a trivia quiz. And I know you haven't put any answers in there today, Dave, which probably means you don't know. Players who have played for Norwich and Tottenham. Go in the comments. Go in the comments. Players that have played for Norwich and Tottenham, and we're going to pass it around. I'll go first. Oliver, skip. HG.
I'm next. Ian Crook.
Very good.
Martin Chivers.
Very good. So I've got the list here. That's why it's not in the run sheet, caller, so you don't know the answer. So let's just go round and round.
Well, we have, haven't we?
Do you want to?
Do you want to keep going?
But I've got the yeah. We keep going round.
Roll Fox.
Yep. HC.
Oh, sorry, I'm next. Yeah. Paul McVeigh. Paul McVeigh.
Seb's mate.
The cheese room. Indeed. Talksport favourite Ian Culverhouse.
Very good.
Sebastian Basson.
Well read in the comments.
Oh,
next.
No, I knew that one.
Harry Kane.
Very good.
Oh,
Martin
of course
Peters.
he did.
Very good. You're going old school, John.
Yeah.
Now he read the comments.
Cool.
No, I'm not looking at the comments. I'm looking right at you. Beautiful eyes.
Marnie.
I don't know about that, but I think so. Go on.
You've got to be careful which comments you read, caller, because some of them aren't right. Yeah, Tim Sherwood's a good one. I'll go with that.
Dim Deadwood, yes.
I'm going to go John Polston.
Very good.
That's a good one.
I'm going to have some more monkey shoulder. That's what I'm going to do.
He didn't play for Norwich.
Cole Norton.
Well read, yeah.
Take that.
Ginger Pele. Gary Doherty.
Oh, the dog. Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did.
Did he?
So someone actually wrote Ginger Pele in the comments, so fair play to them. Whoever. Daniel Harrison said the Ginger Pele. So
and Paul Muir as well. Doherty. There you go. I thought he meant the right back Doherty, but there you go.
No, he's going there next.
I'm done now. I've got no more.
Have we done Bowen?
I think you did, yeah.
No, did not. Mark Bowen was a Spurs youth player, was he?
Yeah.
Played in 86, 87. Morris Norman.
Very good. Very good. I think.
Cheers,
called us.
Vincent. I've given up. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I've exhausted my 3 players. I'm done. I'm moving on.
HG.
Phil Ambrose has a feeling the 90s legends Neil Finn might have.
Well done, Phil Ambrose.
Oh, yeah.
Well done.
Culverhouse, Ian Culverhouse.
We've
I've
already
said
had
that.
him. The Culverhouse
Yeah.
brothers. Anything else? Shall I read out the list?
Yeah,
Give
go
us
on.
a clue.
There's going to be a few that maybe we should know and haven't thought of.
Give us a clue. Positions.
Definitely.
Hang on a minute. He.
Give us the list, Dave. I'm getting bored listening.
Your pause. All right. Well, we've covered off most of them. Everyone's done very well. We had Laurie Brown, who was in the double team. Willie Young, Gary Brady, Kevin Scott. Remember him? He was crap.
He was
Jimmy
terrible.
He was awful. Jimmy Neighbour, Steve Walford,
Right.
who played for Tottenham, Arsenal, and us. The legendary Fred Sharp, great player. Chris Adams, Andy Thompson, Jimmy Smith, and of course Jimmy Banks. And that's it. A lot of players.
Oh, so we got most of them,
half of those you've made up. Surely half of those you've made up.
and of course, and not forgetting Mr. Tumble.
Everyone watching, he's obsessed with Mr. Tumble, Dave, for some reason. I don't know why.
Because you look like it.
Oh, there you go. There's one you missed off.
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
God, very
Well
good.
done. Very good.
Absolutely.
Very good indeed.
Okay. Anyone got a fond Norwich Spurs memory? I've got to be honest, I haven't particularly. Nothing stands out. HG, what you saying?
Was it 5 days before the cup final, or like 5 days after the 5 days after the semi-final with 93?
Three.
We beat them 5-1.
April. It was Good Friday.
We beat them 5-1, and I was there, and it pissed down with rain, and I remember that mainly. So yeah, that is. There was a few good goals in that game, but yeah, I remember the weather more than anything else. It was awful.
Okay.
Gareth Bale scoring those wonder goals at Norwich. They're good memories, especially I think the second one where he took them all on by himself and then kind of hit it with the outside of his left foot into the far corner. That was a brilliant goal. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was going to say that game, the first game you mentioned. I was also there. That's the season Norwich finished third.
You just don't get cold enough, mate.
We had a good day that day. I think Ruddock scored a 30-yard free kick, and it was Naeem's last game when he scored literally in the 88th minute. Nice little step over and dinked it over the keeper really cleverly. And then he scored from the halfway line, not so long after. I did have another Norwich game. I'm trying to think what it was now. Go to Davo. It'll come back to me.
Well, funnily enough, I'm going back to Scott Parker. Really?
Played for Norwich. I mean, Franco would know if anyone. So
he would know.
Yeah,
he would know.
If
Franco's
Franco
from
knows,
Norwich.
is he?
Suffolk or somewhere out that way. He's a farmer.
Yeah, he's a Norwich lad.
Okay,
he's a
so
Suffolk lad,
I'll
but
take
there
you back to 1987. Pleats 4-5-1. We're playing Norwich at home. Clive Allen is having the most awful game. Awful game. He's even slightly being booed by the shelf. Unbelievable. And inside 10 minutes, he scores a hat trick. And I think we won 5-0 that day. So that is a memory of Norwich. There's also a cup game, I think, in '93 when I think we went up there. They were doing well in the league, and we won 2-0. And that's like Barnby, Anderton, and Sheringham combining really well. And that kind of set the tone for the rest of the season. That was your first full season, HG, if I remember, 92, 93. So it's January in the cup. I think we won 2-0. Norwich were doing well. We combined really well, and off we go. Wikipedia let you down. No, I looked at it somewhere else.
We that game was we'd actually played them away on Boxing Day and drew 0-0, and Ruddock had a really good goal disallowed harshly, and then we beat them in the cup unexpectedly because say they were flying and we weren't playing very well, and then we beat them 5-1 later on in the season. The other game I was going to mention was February '90, I think. Gary Lineker scored a hat trick, and it was live on ITV. And we never won on live games, ever, because we always played Man United or Arsenal or Liverpool. So we always lost. So it was really nice that we beat them 4-0. And I think he scored. He went around the keeper. He got 2 penalties, maybe, was it? Or 1 penalty?
I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
But yeah, he went around the keeper each time, basically. And then.
I've been very young. But yeah, I think I vaguely remember that being on ITV. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Howell's got the other goal.
There you go.
The two things I learned from Dave's memory is one, if you lose in the FA Cup, you can finish third in the league because that's what Norwich did, right? So we'll just do that. And oh crap! What was the other one? Was if you boo your players, they go on and score a hat trick in 10 minutes. So like Spurs have learned a lot from this.
Yeah. What's your score predictions then, fellas? So I'm going to say, I think I put in a Patreon. If you join Patreon, we'll not as if fancy football's not enough for you. We also have predict the score, which I don't think Dave is top.
There's loads of chats.
Who is top, Dave? John of the predictor score.
Oh, hold on. I'll tell you, Dave's flying. It is Pat Chan and Seb second. Ooh.
Shout out Pat Chan, shout out Seb, but Seb does the scores, so I mean that's reputable.
Dave is not far behind. He's flying.
Oh, that's disappointing, really. Just as long as he doesn't win, I suppose we're all right. And I think, what's the prize this year? Is it a signed picture?
I don't think so.
I think who won the Euros prediction league?
And what did you get, Dave?
I got a beautiful framed photo of Jimmy Greaves on the victory bus after we'd won the Cup Winners' Cup, a European competition where the other teams in it had won a cup, and it was exciting.
Even if they finished 11th in the league, they won the cup, and so they were good.
And they had a good day out at their their national stadium and met whoever was the head of state for that European nation. A good day out.
I think the point is that you won a lovely picture from being a Patreon.
Absolutely, it's a beautiful picture.
So there you go, signed by Jimmy Greaves. That'd be worth a few bob. There you go. You could do that too. The details are in the scrolling ticker at the bottom, and I think I did post it earlier on as well. If you want to join, do so. Less than the price of a pint per month. I mean, what can you not like about that? Score predictions, HG. Start with you. What's the score going to be?
I always go 2-1 home win now, so 2-1. There you go.
Is that what you predicted in Patreon as well?
Yep. He's 2-1 for everything in Patreon.
2-1.
Huh?
Brilliant.
Yep.
You've just literally put 2-1 times 5, haven't you?
Yeah. I want 2-1 for the rest of the season because I have a feeling that might do better than me by myself. So I'll just stick the same score.
You're probably right, actually. Yeah. John,
I'm not good at predicting score lines. Absolutely not.
I've gone 3-0.
3-0? Just Spurs,
3-0.
I'll take it.
Not Nuno, so yes.
Okay, and Dave? Master of predictions, clearly.
4-0 Tottenham.
I got 4-1 Tottenham. So, and I would just remind you that I was top of that league, that Euros league, for a very long time before I had to throw it because clearly I couldn't win it. Yeah, absolutely. So, right, that's great. Let's look at other news. So, Conte, unimpressed with the club's recent transfer business. Wonder why I'd be unimpressed by that. And wants to be more hands-on with Paratici in forthcoming transfer windows, Davo. I'm assuming you think that might be a good thing?
No, I don't actually, because remember I said at the start Hitchin got Reggie in. So Hitchin's a genius. We should stick with Hitchin and ignore the footballing director of Juventus and the bloke who won Serie A last year. So it's Hitchin all the way for me.
Well, okay. Let's go to a more sensible conversation. HG.
What? Anything I say is more sensible? I mean, that's a stretch, but okay. What do you want to know about the transfers? Yeah, anyone but Hitchin. Hitchin might strike gold once every 5 years. But they only became gold when better people got involved at the club. So, Conte, Paratici, they have to have more say. They really do.
I'm going to throw this one to you, John. Lloris, new contract. Should he get a new contract, and will he sign a new contract? Should we get Sam Johnson on a free and sack off Galini?
He deserves a new contract, definitely. Galini, I thought he looked all right to begin with. Not convinced now. Sam Johnson would be a good signing. I cannot see him coming in if we're keeping Lloris, unless he knows Lloris is going within a year. I'd be very surprised. Sam Johnson's a number one. He's a good keeper. I'd just be astonished if he came into us, unless he had no other offers.
What do you think, HG? Lloris running his contract down till right at the last minute, or is he genuinely gone?
I think he's definitely running it down because it gives him options. But if Spurs are the best option, he'll sign a new deal. I genuinely think that's it. I think Lloris may well wait until the league season is finished around Europe to see, who can offer what. If we can offer, if we get fourth and offer Champions League, Lloris will almost certainly stay. The length of contract, I don't know, but we'll definitely offer him something. But I think that having been at the club for so long, the club are like, it's going to be your call. We can't force him to do anything. As for Johnston, it all depends. Like if Johnston wants to start that career backup thing that Cudicini did for a number of years and Michel Form did for a number of years, then fair enough. But I don't know. Like it makes lots of sense on paper for us, but as to whether the players will be willing to do that's the key question.
So Lloris can sign a pre-agreement in January. He can do his deal in January wherever else he wants to go, right?
Yeah.
I think he's been good this season.
He's been good last season.
Yeah, I think he's been good. He always has a dodgy spell once a season, right? But I would genuinely love it if he could lift a trophy with us. I know we all want us to lift a trophy, but especially for him. And as the 2022 calendar says, it's February. Carabao Cup final. Lloris's picture is the face of there. It's all lined up. He lifts the Carabao Cup at Wembley in February. It's all going to happen.
I think that's a fair point by Paul. Lloris has been our best player since restart. Certainly very consistent, I think. I mean, it'll be interesting. I hope he stays. I really hope he stays. I love Hugo. I've loved him from the moment he signed for us pretty much and broke into the team. He's a terrific keeper and a great servant to the club. Like you say, Dave, it'd be really nice to see him win something. Go get Dean Henderson. Just
not
going to
happen.
They're going to sell him. They're just not going to sell him, are they, John?
Not to another English team.
No. I can't see it.
Henderson's made his own life more difficult because he signed a long-term deal there. So, it's going to be United's decision whether he plays or not. And he might kick up a stink that he, go on loan again to Sheffield United and all the rest of it. But United have him by the balls and he willingly did that. So it's unlikely that an English team is going to pay the money that United would want for him.
Let's talk about Vlahovic briefly because reports are that Spurs are in the pole position to sign Vlahovic. And absolutely have contacted Fiorentina with a view to signing him. HG, what's your view to this getting over the line in January? Do you think it's going to happen heart on heart?
No. But if he wants to come and we pay the money, then it will happen. I mean, that's it. Again, it's one of those things. Like if I'm Vlahovic, I'm coming to Spurs because I want to work for Conte. That's it. Right, I don't think he wants to come to Spurs to play alongside or back up or whatever with Kane. It's going to be because of Conte, and if he waits until the summer, he'll have an idea of what the best situation for him will be in January. I think the best situation for him may well be to stay at Fiorentina and see what he can do. So it's a tough one, but like if he wants to come in January and we're willing to pay the money, then it will happen. But I just think those two are.
Gov's just stuck an arrow through my heart there. Stuck an arrow through my heart. That's not going to happen, is it, Dave?
I mean, I don't think he wants to go to the Woolwich. The reports were saying that the Gooners were in contact with them, but his agent wasn't answering their calls. The sensible and pragmatic thing to do would be pay the asking price on January the 1st. Say to him, you've got this season with Harold Kane, who will be there. We sell Kane in the summer to whoever, and then Vlahovic is our number one striker, and of the remaining 30 million, so we spend 60 million to 90 million we get for Kane, and the other 30 million we spend on the Janssen backup. Right, that's a sensible thing to do. All right.
Not yet.
And
Not
just
yet.
on Dean Henderson, do you think that Charlie Kane was advising him about the contract extension? Because that is a bad old deal. I feel a bit sorry for Dean Henderson. It's almost like Amnesty International likely to campaign for his release. Do you know what I mean? He's just trapped there. He's got nowhere to go.
He's a terrific keeper as well. Terrific.
Yeah, he's a good keeper. He's a good keeper. So I think Vlahovic would be great if he signed with Jan 1. Kane's going to get injured anyway at some point. Bed him in. We're all good to go. That's based on speculation, not fact, by the way.
But you said that,
John.
So that's fine.
Thanks.
Last to you, John. Vlahovic.
I'd take him. 100%. He's I'm not going to say he's coming to us, but I really hope he's coming to us. Because how many times have we linked with players and they go somewhere else?
There's a lot of positivity there. I reckon Vlahovic is done. We get Vlahovic and the Belgian kid, whoever the Belgian kid is.
I think he means Charles de Ketelaere.
Okay,
bless you. Like 20. I think he's 20 years old. Plays for Bruges. But yeah, he's the next Belgian wonder kid, pretty much. So it's certainly in an attacking sense,
like Jonathan Blondell was.
Oh. Yeah, that's 20 years ago. But since then, Belgium have got pretty good. But yeah, de Ketelaere is.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
Go.
No,
I was just amazed. No, you go. Sorry.
Okay. De Ketelaere is one of those players that, because he's playing in the Belgian league and the Champions League group games, I'm not sure they had anyone massive in their group. I'm probably wrong on that, so I'll take that back now. But you have to really go out to try and watch him. And I haven't seen him play, but I have heard massive reports that he's good. He's like 6'3". So yeah, it's an interesting one, but I'm all on the Kulusevski train. I don't know if we're going to talk about that, but I'd love to see Kulusevski at Spurs, and I think that's doable as well.
Adrian's got a shopping list there. Can we nail all of those? Any of those? If we were going to sign any of those players, Dave, any of those players, which two would you pick?
Isn't it? I pronounced his name wrong. Isn't Icardi? He's a bit toxic for the dressing room with all that. I don't think we should get him. Maybe we get Icardi in and get him and Dele Alli to form a social club in the squad and see what happens. That'd be interesting. I got Belotti in on Football Manager years ago, and he was really good for us. So based on that, that'll do. Martinez, I like the look of him, but obviously Lukaku.
I like the way you referred to Football Manager as us. Really good for us. Really good for the club.
And Dybala, which as I said the other week, we'd agreed a 50-60 million deal with Dybala. We couldn't get the media rights agreed, and we end up only spending 25 million on Bergwijn, and that's just so Tottenham. So yeah,
I love that whenever Dybala comes up on the screen, out comes the Levy rant from 18 months ago. We could have done this.
I don't think it was the club's fault he couldn't sign. To be perfectly honest,
hang on a minute. Let me get to my Levy filing cabinet with my new Spurs merchandise that I got from the Spurs shop the other week. Enoch out. I'm just going through the cabinet, just going through the Mortinho file and the Charlie Adam.
I like the fact that despite all your bluster, you ended up going to the Spurs shop and spending money. It's just beautiful.
But why wouldn't I?
Well, because you lied in Levy's pockets, you son of a gun.
So, okay. Whenever I go, I don't go that often, very excited. I want to go to the Spurs shop. I was very upset. And I got a real problem with Daniel Levy at the moment because the last time I went, hang on. I got some Spurs bath ducks last time. They don't sell them in the shop anymore. I like to have a Spurs.
My daughter's got a bath duck, Daisy, a Spurs one, yeah.
Yeah, well, I couldn't get it. So Levy out. Get
50 quid and
bath
it's yours.
in. It's what?
50 quid, it's yours.
You want to sell me a Tottenham bath duck for 50? Will it be in the add-ons?
A used one.
No. You got to recycle your bath ducks after a certain period of time. And then we're going somewhere where we really don't need to go. So bath ducks in, Enoch out. There you go.
Yeah, good stuff. HG, two of those players, who are you signing?
From those two,
yeah, it's Fantasyland, obviously.
Fantasyland, it would be probably Dybala and Vlahovic. Kalajic is Austrian, So I probably should want him, but I don't. I don't know too much about Julian Alvarez. Someone put that in the comments earlier, asked me what I knew about him. I know he's scoring goals, I think, at River Plate, but I would rather go Dybala and Vlahovic from that list. Absolutely.
Two best players on it, to be honest. And John?
I just think the ship has sailed with Dybala.
Oh, he's able to pre-sign a contract.
Oh, is he on the bottom in the summer, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, talented player.
I want what you're drinking, caller, says John Gaskin. It's Monkey Shoulder, mate. Available from all good retailers. This wasn't a free sample, but if the people who make Monkey Shoulder are watching, we are open to such offers. So do send me a bottle. I could drink for anyone. If you're watching and you work for Diageo, send me a bottle. I'll drink it on air. Sorry, interrupted, John. Continue.
That's all right. I think Vlahovic definitely take. I don't know much about Kaladzic. Is that his name?
Yeah, Kaladzic. I mean, he's 6'7". He's a big guy. He scored for Austria against Italy in the Euros in the summer. Came off the bench and scored.
Okay.
There's Ian Ormondroyd moments going through my mind whenever I see Kaladzic play. He scored a lot of goals for Stuttgart. He's been injured a lot for Stuttgart.
Right. Okay.
So it'd be perfect for us then.
Yeah, kind of. Like he's Austria's. I mean, I don't know. Like, no, is the short answer. No, I don't think he's proven enough. He's only really done one full season at Stuttgart and scored a lot of goals there, but I don't know, not for me.
Okay, good stuff.
I think Martinez is going to be outpriced, isn't he?
Martinez signed a new deal, didn't he?
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
It's done.
Yeah, he did. It's gone.
And then Belotti, I think isn't Belotti pretty much done deal with one of the other Italian clubs? Keep hearing all these rumours that he's going to go somewhere on a free. So,
bottom line is, if you got any two from that list, you'd be over the moon anyway. That would be a successful window, wouldn't it? So, with maybe the exception of Icardi, I think you're right. He's, from all we've heard, toxic. But there you go. Look, we've been going for just over an hour and a half. We're going to call it a night there. Dave, I want to thank you for joining us with the hangover from hell.
It's been a pleasure, and it's great that you can listen to my domestic aviary outside with the bird life and wildlife, kangaroos, sharks, crocodiles.
Always had this problem when Aaron Jolly was doing the podcast, didn't we, HG? You could just hear birds, like parrots or whatever it was, like twittering in the background. Very annoying when you're trying to... But you managed to shut them up. Well done. It's good. HG, thanks for joining.
Yeah, no problem. I always enjoy it. It's always fun.
John, same again. You look ever young. God knows what you could look like when you're 80.
You know what? I've only worked one night this week, but I'm absolutely shattered as well. So I'm obviously doing something right. The reason I went off screen is because I could hear banging outside, and although it's thick fog outside, somebody's having a firework display. It's probably good or something like that. So it literally went on for about 10 minutes.
Nothing else to do.
That does sound like Las Vegas. So,
Bognor Regis.
I think it's probably Goodwood, which is about 10 miles away, and they love fireworks.
Well, look, if you haven't already, download and listen to the podcast. Franco and Bren delivered a cracking show with Sean guesting following the game on Thursday night. And obviously, we have got more for you on Monday. There'll be a post-show podcast going out on Spotify and Apple Music. And on Monday night, obviously, we will be back talking about the weekend's football. Thanks for joining us. Let's hope all our predictions are accurate and we smashed the Canaries. And in the meantime, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs.